we are going to end in somewhat where we started. And I wanted to, we have both, first, I want to end again with gratitude. Gratitude. Gratitude for the inspiration that was poured into all of us over the past 2 days. Gratitude for the calls to action, the commitment to follow up, the kind of dedication that's in this room. So grateful. I am so grateful again, and I know the gratitude to the Ascend team that really did this work. And I don't know whether like standing, are we, but putting, I really want to, stand, you all, it's just the Ascenders really make this happen. And I don't, we have like all the photo shots to bring, but I also, and it's, you never like to just really do any call outs, but I have to because I'm also me. I want to, on our team, Adam Parker, who is our convenience extraordinaire, who has been working with the whole comms team and all the program staff and everybody. Just thank you, Adam. Also, Sarah Haight. We all know she and Soraya Toze and others are the heart and soul of the network and really the 2Gen practice. And I'm sorry, but there's literally nobody probably more important to me and probably to the field than the phenomenal and extraordinary Marjorie Renee Sims. And so just thank you for the moment of gratitude. And I think the other one was really about joy. You know, Aisha and Bill bringing in joy and hope from the get-go intentionally. And so I just wanted to end with saying, and this is a little words channeling the spirit of Dr. Maya Angelou. We need joy as we need air. We need love as we need water. We need each other as need the earth we share. We need joy, we need love, we need each other. Change happens at the pace of trust and relationship. So stay in relationship with yourselves and one another. We will close. Thank you, Judge Terrell. My new relationship. We're going to close with a very special gift, and it's a gift of poetry. And sometimes we think art starts where the mind becomes quieter. And so this is a very special poetry. We will have a 2Gen conversation in verse with two, not one, two poet laureates. The poet laureates, oh my gosh, I'm getting so excited. It's with, I'm about to say Wes Moore, but I'm not going to do the wrong thing. Sorry, because Wes, I was about to make you a governor, which would be also very exciting. But we have, oh my gosh, I'm totally losing my mind. Oh, Matthews, God. So Wes Matthews, you're going to meet Wes Moore. Gosh, Wes Matthews and his mother, Era Matthews, are two poet laureates in Philadelphia. Matthew was a poet laureate in 2018, 2019. And then his mother, Era, followed as a poet laureate. So when we talk about mutual motivation, the inspiration between mother and son, pretty powerful. Era is also a professor at Bryn Mawr and the director of the poetry program there. She's also an extraordinarily proud and loving and fabulous mother. And I want to we give the stage over to you and to Wes to close us out. I want us to just celebrate in a community way you, Wes, and you, Era, as a mother and as a son for your ascendancy from UPenn, Phi Beta Kappa, just about to go off to the Harvard Divinity School on a full presidential scholarship. Your genius, and together, and I've actually had the pleasure of doing a couple sessions in the old days with Larry Summers. I just want to say Harvard is going to be extraordinarily lucky and fortunate to have you grace their campus, as we are today to have you both here with us. So thank you.
Checking. Check. Mine is on. Checking.
You're good.
Okay. Oh, here we
Perfect.
are.
There we go.
Here I am. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for having Wes and I here today. It's an extraordinary honor, primarily because I think we kind of do embody the idea of 2Gen. I've been listening to the talks today and some of the questions that have come forward. One of them was, how do you make a difference? How do you transform? And also touting the importance of the lived experience. And there is no better experience or no better example of the lived experience and how one can survive from struggle to triumph than the story that we've come through. My story is such that I was raised by a heroin-addicted father. My mother went on to become a single mother at some point, but he grew into his heroin addiction after being discharged from the Vietnam War. And so when he was over in Vietnam, he developed a raging drug habit. Came home, had children. I was one of them. And I saw the terrors of drugs and families, what it can actually do, how it tears you apart, it tears people apart, and how it changes the actual personality of the person who's using. It's an actual sickness. And so one of the things that I never had in my house was books. We didn't really have books in our house. We went outside, it was the 70s, we went outside, we played. We thought that that was all there was to do. I didn't know about reading, I didn't know about literature, I didn't know about the classics. And then one day when I was probably a young mother with Wes, he was maybe a year old or so, I started picking up literature. I studied economics in college. I thought I could do numbers. I thought that was what I wanted to do. The economics program told me differently. That was not my field. And I went on to become a poet. But I didn't learn about poetry until later, when I was a full-grown adult. And I realized that this was something I actually wanted to do. And so my thought was, how do you break the generational curse of trauma? And I do it by living, by being an example for my kids so that they can see the arts in their home. So Wes is one of 4 children. He's my second oldest. My first oldest is 23, 21, 18, 13. So I've had some experience with raising kids, and I'm beginning to see the merits of just being a good example. So when you think about how does change happen, it happens one single solitary soul at a time, and by building up families. So thank you for the work that you do and the way that you're thinking. Your ability to think through these really aggressive and thoughtful things helps us, actually. It helps us to be artists because it gives us a space to make and create without feeling like there may be some resistance to it. So thank you for that. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna let Wes talk. He's going to start with a poem. We're going to do a round robin, and then we're going to do a poem that's become a very special poem. We're going to do that one together. So, Wes, take it away.
Thank you, Mom. Yeah, I wanna echo my mom's sentiment of gratitude for being here, and thank you all for the warm welcome. So I've had the absolute privilege in my life of being able to think about writing and why I write poetry and who do I write for, that kind of thing. And I've come to find that, at least in my situated philosophy, poetry is a vehicle of awakening, which means that when I write poetry, I'm not only seeking to explore the world as it is, but also to kind of transform it on the page. And so I wrestle with imagination, or I wrestle with transformation through imagination, right? So I think that poetry is not exactly per se a catalyst for change, but it is akin to change in the sense that it starts with you seeing something in the world and then imagining the possibility, imagining something alternative, something other than what is. And so that's the joy of poetry for me, in writing from a place of wanting change, right? My mother asked me during the break what type of environment gave rise to that poetic impulse. And it's kind of a rhetorical question because you know what type of environment I was raised in. Inside, you just talked about it, you fostered it. But I was saying that oftentimes we start with the notion that imagination precedes expression. And I want to flip that Your expression, your drive to express precedes the imagination, and then once you start writing, it flows, right? I always say that just encourage the beginning, encourage that starting point, that inception of writing. Anyway, enough talking. I have this poem that I wrote during the election cycle in 2020. It's called Election Day, and it's kind of about the voice, whose voice gets heard, and how do we channel history on our quest to make our voices heard. This voice that sings glory at day's end, dear and tender, tempered with passion for generations, is far from still or silent. When everything returns to dusk, it will belong to the harmony of masses, performing the task of overturning untilled earth in a ritual that takes millions. When I leave this world, there will still be everything I stood for, the unalienable right to rewrite history, to take up the cause of looking forward. Today, my heart sings in the vein of shadowy freedom, forgotten like buried dreams never professed. There are American faces carved on a stolen mountainside, names that still harp in the crude wind: Jefferson, Washington, Lincoln, the select few committed in collective memory, the men made into monuments. In truth, I am not yearning to be memorialized in the same history as them or to be a wall for their names to echo off of. I am living on my own time, giving homage to this home that raised me, the people before my people, and all the streaking light after. The fact of our existence is a miracle that could never be paid for in broken promises, that could never have been prayed for with unfaithful hands. And so I forge on, carrying this question: in the absence of justice, what is bequeathed to us? Whether countryside or canyon bank, the cataract flow between the eyes of change, or the cities that live to see tomorrow, the voice of the past is still calling out, speaking of the future. Awaiting fate, I can only elect to face it with new hope. Thank you. I'll pass it on to my mom.
Anne talked about finding joy. It's one of the most important gifts that we can give ourselves. We see very many things that would make us not think to be joyful. But what happens when we make the conscientious effort to find joy? Nevertheless, an ecstatic ode. Praise to the father holding his sleeping daughter on the 52nd Street trolley. To the daughter dreaming through the pothole thrum, praise. To the diabetic with shorn feet and sugarcane blood, to those anxious nerves through the left hip and lower spine, to those flying axons on their route, praise. To the red-headed Rasta and his ganja-laced t-shirt, to the Vietnam vet at Cass Corridor holding a sign, to the sign which reads, not homeless, just struggling, praise. To the barbers calming the fatherless in their chairs, to the mothers trying not to overhear this soothing praise. To raised skylines in ruins, to whatever replaces the horizon. To the lost toddler who refused to speak to strangers, to the strangers who would not let him be lost. Praise. To sisters in love with whoever won't love them, to others in love with whoever won't bother, praise. To the lovers who left lessons, those lovers who left scars, to the memory of topography smooth to touch, praise. To boys who make beeswax fingernails, to little girls who wear fatigues and eye black, praise. To those often overlooked, but chronic overlooking, praise. To Miss Toto, Bambi Banks, Pearl Harbor, to bombs that never landed, to satellites that could not be coaxed to Earth, to bodily grail that won't hold a lie, praise. To beauty that doesn't suffer rules. To dollar store chic and sleek vintage tins, to loose wave or tight curl, to wanting to be, to being, praise. To love's revival, to incising shame's jugular, to the unrecalled, misjudged, and half-remembered, praise. to the hard-won win against Kronos, to the stone wrapped in swaddling, the eaglets nesting latibule, barren sirens rearing urchin, the eye uncrossed, uncrowed praise. To scuffed boot houses, children running over frayed laces, to the old kitchen half-gutted, its April gnats and snowbank flies, its mice-hugging sweet corners, praise to that which endures. To old doors, layers of paint, years of storm-beating solid oak, to the gable roof that is a ceiling, that coffered ceiling that is also a floor, praise. To what shoulders weight, to brackets and load-bearing walls, beams and spindly skeletons, sacred geometry and tangents, to levees and pregnant summers, the buckshot-ridden body wheeling to coil spring, praise. To the ground unfastening to the thorny or fertile soil, to each seraph's flutter wind and every earthworm's bristle entwined in a waltz of welcome, praise. To the body relenting to dust, the spirit yielding assent, praise. To all who rejoice in becoming, amen. To all who transform in return.
She's a hard act to follow. This poem is about history, erasure, overwriting history, that type of thing. This poem is called Jimi Hendrix Plays the Star-Spangled Banner for a Crowd of Skeletons. Du Bois said there would be days like this, when we must admit that we, the people, have decided to abandon heroics for the sake of something more American. We must admit that there are no closets, in fact, just clauses that riff in this foul dust of feedback, figment of bog folk humming amazing grace to their sons' raft-breasted bodies, still drowned under the water course of human events, flesh-logged blue. Listen. You'll hear the dissonant convulsions of a God-fearing patriot, sky-waxing bomb, synth like pseudo-sun upon these ramparts, the brave and the free and the bodies and amnesia, your dream in smithereens, mistuned implosions of the heart. I plainly wish to wage this history against itself, but first you must rest with forgotten chorus, the most American of perils. I give you this chasm of frequency that you must sing to, beginning with the signature of your choosing and ending with a nation of proudly distorted bodies below the blush lip of balefire.
So much of the poet's work is to respond to the contemporary age in which we live. In 2005, you all may remember Hurricane Katrina. Wes won't remember as well, but because he was 4 years old, and I remember him coming up to me when I was sitting around a kitchen table crying because I was listening to an NPR special that was talking about the elders refusing to leave their homes, right? And asked me, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm thinking, and I'm wondering why. This poem is called Wisdom. My daddy built this house, 1917.
Callous gloved hands, sweat soft in dirt, dug foundation deep. Said he wanted me and mama to live in a castle, 100 rooms shy, never did finish.
Heart revolted against his body. Papa dropped dead on the basement floor, trenched his own grave. We wisdoms always use our hands, sometimes against ourselves.
And I ain't been much in this world. You see, I done clean more cracked toilets, shine more broken mirrors than my fair share.
I heard ghosts in the halls of moneyed mansions with more heart than flesh and bone touched.
Wasn't no blood in them houses' veins. Everything was dead.
But this house right here has souls between the walls. And even you listen real close under the cloud of moon, you can hear them laughing through their labor pains.
11 babies been born inside, 5 of mine done died, but not before tasting the air, twirling it on their little tongue and spitting it out like sour breast milk.
You see, sometimes life don't agree with you. Ain't no need to mourn it. Dead men and babies can't appreciate your wet eyesides. The reaper always gather his harvest.
Best to put on your good suit. Wait at your own door. Store
Store
some snuff in your cheek.
and some hooch in your flask. Pass your time. Settle your mind about the other side. And don't never hide behind no religion.
It can't save you.
That's God's work.
Pastor only gonna put you in dirt, not heaven.
And hell finna break loose over that there levee, and I suspect it can't be no hotter than this New Orleans summer.
Baby, prevailing water
Ain't never scared me. It's the wandering make me uneasy. I need the bare bones of my own structure.
Front door locked so thieves can't get in.
Back door open on a rusty hinge so I can hear the spirits of my children run out.
And daddy sharp shooting silver pistol under my pillow.
Tell me to sleep so sweet. In a familiar room where the sun always finds me.
Through these cardboard windows, and I ain't shamed.
Why be? We all have them. Broken glass.
Guarded, hard-boarded, shut from the inside out.
Peeled back corner, letting in a thin stream of dusty light, just so you know, sun still grinning through whatever night puts you to bed. And like I said,
We all have them.
maybe that's your cardboard window.
And I ain't been much in this world. You see, I done clean more, cracked, shine more, broken, but I have lived up to my name, wisdom.
And I got a knowing that the fountain of earth gonna spring up from this here patch of dirt belong to me.
Crying New Orleans clouds under my raggedy roof are my own to comfort. And I'll inhale a moonshine flood through my flat black nose before I set one foot off my land.
And you might be too young to understand, but when you ain't never had nothing,
Little something,
always better. And this don't look like home to you. I know.
But it's mine. This is my house.
Those my cardboard windows.
That's my front door.
And on me, this is my best dress. At least that's what misfortune done whispered about me on many Sunday.
So I'm ready.
Right.
As I said, I'm ready.
I'm a ride. Cause I sure ain't finna go nowhere. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you. It was our pleasure. Thank you for the work you do. Thank you.